Glory to Ukraine.
Let me read it. This is my video update from Nicosia, Cyprus on this Saturday, midday, September 23rd. Let's talk about some news. And we have Elensky in Canada. Elensky has arrived in Canada after what can only be described as a brutal few days in the United States at the UN, meeting with Professor Biden, walking around the halls of Congress with Schumer and McConnell. Elensky decided to go to Canada so he can seek refuge in the arms of Justin Trudeau. Canada is without a doubt Elensky's safe space. And it paid off because Elensky, he spoke to the Canadian Parliament, and they were absolutely excited to see Elensky. A standing ovation for the clown puppet leader. And Trudeau, well, Trudeau, he had a gift for Elensky. $650 million. That is what he gave Elensky. Compare it to what Biden gave Elensky when he was in D.C., $350 million, and quite a significant bag that Elensky leaves Canada with, $650 million. Not bad for Elensky, not bad at all. And Biden, he also, from what I understand, the reports are that Professor Biden, pulled Elensky to the side of one of their meetings, and he told Elensky, look, I know that the reports are that you're not going to get ATACMS, but I promise you as Professor Biden, I'll get you some ATACMS. And so there are now reports which claim that Biden, off record, he promised Elensky some ATACMS. I'm hearing around 100 ATACMS. Maybe more, maybe less, but ATACMS with long-range cluster missiles. That's what the reports are. So we had, on the record, no ATACMS. Now we have Professor Biden saying, I'll get you some ATACMS with cluster missiles. It's interesting how cluster munitions, cluster missiles, depleted uranium, all these weapons which were considered off limits, war crimes. Now these are accepted. These are accepted weapons to use now. So things have shifted. If Ukraine can use depleted uranium and cluster munitions and these types of weapons, I think any military can now use these types of weapons. We've seen a shift. So, staying on the subject of Canada, we have some news regarding Trudeau's announcement a couple of days ago where he claimed that he had credible evidence. This is important. He said he had credible evidence from his intel sources that India Indian secret services, they carried out an assassination of a Canadian, well, maybe Canadian citizen. I'm not quite sure yet if he was a Canadian citizen or not, but a Canadian, let's say a Canadian resident for now, that they carried out an assassination of a Sikh Canadian resident by the name of Nijad. And this happened in the middle of June. And we have an update on this story. Trudeau, he said the other day that he now has credible allegations that this assassination was carried out by Indian intel operatives. So we've moved from credible evidence to now credible allegations. And The Guardian is reporting, citing the CBC and their sources, that there are audio recordings of, let's go this way, of Indian diplomats acknowledging that that this killing was indeed carried out. This is according to The Guardian. Canada has evidence linking Indian diplomats to killing of Sikh activist. This is according to Guardian sources, Five Eyes and stuff like that. Five Eyes, MI6, the CBC, they now claim that they have the audio recordings. No deep fake, the real audio recordings, according to The Guardian. So I find it very interesting that Trudeau is now using the words credible allegations. Just a couple of days ago, we had credible allegations levied at Russell Brand from the Sunday Times. Urban guerrillas, Kai Makli Festival of the neighborhood today. So walking festival starts at 3:30. All right, I'm a bit early. Wonder if they're setting up for this festival. So, yeah, the what's this guy's name? The province premier of British Columbia, David Eby, he issued a statement the other day, and he said that because this killing took place in British Columbia, outside of Vancouver. Anyway, he came out with a statement. It's on like a video statement, speaking to the press, speaking to the media. And he said that he has seen this information from Canadian intel sources who did work closely with the United States and with the Five Eyes. And he said he's seen this information, and he's not convinced. He's not convinced with Trudeau's narrative. He says that all of the information that he has seen is pretty much open sources. In other words, you can Google it. That is what Eby is saying in his statement. Let's walk to the church over there. Oh, the heat. The heat is just unbearable. It is unbearable. I need to get to some cold weather. So that is what the province premier came out and said. So if what he is saying is true, then we have a very interesting situation. We have Justin Trudeau demolishing relations with India based on open source information. That is That is pretty bad. That is really, really bad. And he demolished relations with India in a public way. I mean, instead of contacting Modi and Indian officials and telling them, look, we have some open source info which points to you guys killing Nijar. What should we do? What's going on here? He came out and he gave a very public statement to the parliament and to the world. And now we're hearing that the information that Trudeau used to base these allegations on is Googled, can be Googled, completely open source. Oh man, Trudeau is making a mess of things. He is really, really making a mess of things. An amazing church. So that's what's happening in Canada. You know that Trudeau is doing this because the US, the UK, they told him to do this, and he's trying to stir up trouble with India. That's my guess. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this, but it looks like everything is pointing to like a Skripals 2.0. You know, the UK did the same thing with the Skripals, and they blamed it on Russia. It looks like they're using the same tactics to go after India. And all of this stems from BRICS and India's position with Russia with regards to the sanctions and the G20. Oh, let's get to some shade. Oh man, I need some shade. But wow, what a beautiful church. Okay, so, whew. So that's Canada. That is Canada. That's Elensky in Canada. And let's now talk about the other big story from yesterday, which was the missile strikes, storm shadow missiles that hit Sevastopol, the Russia Black Sea headquarters. So Sky News has already come out, and they have already said that that these were indeed storm shadow missiles. I've read reports that drones as well as storm shadows were sent towards Crimea, and it was a total of 10 storm shadow missiles. And I've read reports that claim anywhere between 1 to 3 storm shadows hit the target, and the target was the Black Sea headquarters in Crimea. The Guardian's title for the story reads, Ukraine mounts missile strike on Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters in Crimea, the latest high-profile attack on Russian forces based on annexed peninsula targets base in Sevastopol. So the Elensky regime, the Elensky regime is celebrating as Elensky speaking to the parliament. These missiles are launched, and these UK Storm Shadow missiles are launched, and they hit the Sevastopol headquarters. Obviously, the whole military command control operations is not, at these headquarters. They're hidden away. They're in a bunker. This was, as the Guardian says, this was more of a symbolic strike. The Guardian said this was a strategic target, but it was also very much a symbolic target. So obviously this really had no military strategic relevance, this missile strike on the headquarters in Sevastopol. But there are reports that claim that one person was killed, and the Ukraine side of things, they claim that the person that was killed in this missile strike was a Russian admiral. I don't know. I can't confirm that. The Russian Ministry of Defense, they have not come out with any statement saying that an admiral was killed, but that is what Ukraine sources are saying. And you know, I did a video in Athens a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about the push from the New Age neocons. I like to call them the New Age neocons. We have Blinken, Sullivan. These guys to me are like the new neocons, and then we have the old school neocons: Cheney, Graham, Newland, Kagan, all these people. They're the old school neocons. And then we have the new age neocons. And I was talking about how the new age neocons, they want to get Russia to freeze the conflict. And in that video, I was talking about how we're going to see a lot more attacks towards Crimea and Moscow, hitting symbolic targets, all meant to send a message to Putin and to Russia and to Russians, to the Russian people, to accept a conflict freeze, to accept negotiations with Elensky. If they don't accept a conflict freeze or negotiations, then the collective West will continue to launch these types of attacks in order to create panic and to disrupt the lives of Russians living in Crimea, Sevastopol, or eventually Russians living in Moscow. Budanov, he gave an interview to The Economist the other day, and he pretty much said the same thing. We are going to send drones to Moscow. We're going to target airports, and the purpose of sending these drones to Moscow and to hit airports is to disrupt the lives of Russian citizens. So that's what I think is going on here. I think this is all about putting pressure on Russia to accept a conflict freeze. Yes. Ano, video. Ναι. Για YouTube. Και Twitter. Ξέρεις τι είναι το Twitter? Όχι. Το X. Το ξέρεις? X. Ναι. Εσείς τι κάνετε? Οι γονείς σας πού είναι?
Είμαστε μόνοι μας.
Μόνοι μας. Πώς και έτσι?
Όχι, απλά η μάμα μου είναι εκκύπης. Κάθεται με τη μάμα της Μάιας, πίνουν καφέ.
Οκ.
Με τον παπά μου και τον...
Μάλιστα, οκ.
Και εμείς ήρθαμε να παίξουμε και μετά το πρωί, το μεσημέρι θα πάμε σπίτι.
Σπίτι, μπράβο. Πολύ καλά.
Άμα γίνει μαύρο, να πάμε σπίτι.
Μαύρο? Γιατί μαύρο?
Γιατί είναι τώρα μπλε.
Μαύρο, νύχτα εννοείς.
Να παίξουμε το είναι μαύρο.
Ναι.
Είναι κρύο.
Τώρα κάνει πολύ ζέστη.
Ναι, και μετά να γίνει πιο καλά από τώρα.
Ναι.
Στο αραβικό. Λες αραβικά.
Αραβικά?
Ναι. Το ξέρεις. Όπως εμένα τώρα μιλάω με την Ίσρα. Ίσρα, μίλα μου αραβικά. Όπως τώρα.
Αγγλικά ξέρετε?
Ναι.
Πες μου κάτι στα αγγλικά.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Τι?
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Το όνομά μας μπορούμε να πούμε good morning. Ίσερ,
ναι.
Λαμάρ, Ίσερ, Ίσρα, Ίσερ, Μαριάμ, Ίσερ, Μάια.
That's hello world. Καληνύχτα στα αγγλικά. Good.
Good morning.
No. No.
Duran.
Night. Night.
Εγώ δεν ξέρω πολλά αγγλικά, αλλά ξέρω επειδή μας έμαθαν πολλά τα ονόματα και την μπάλα, τα ζώα. Όπως
Τα ζώα, ποια ζώα?
Cat,
Cat.
Bok.
Cat τι είναι? Σκύλο?
Όχι, γάτα.
Όχι, σκύλο. Μάλιστα. Τι άλλο?
Και γάτα τη λαλού.
Γάτα, cat. Σκύλο?
Dog. Και ξέρω, όπως τώρα, με λένε, αλλά θέλω να γράψω το όνομα μου με αγγλικά.
Μπράβο.
Και
Μπράβο.
εγώ
Και εσύ, μπράβο.
εγώ μεγάλο και ή μεγάλο
Μμμ.
και τούτο που είναι έτσι.
Μπράβο.
Και τούτο.
Μπράβο. Είσαι έξυπνη. Μπράβο. Είσαστε όλοι σας. Very smart που λέμε στα αγγλικά. Smart.
Νάνι. Σημαίνει ότι είσαστε έξυπνοι.
Μπράβο, αυτό είναι. Ωραία. Λοιπόν, εγώ πάω walk, να περπατήσω. Χάρηκα. Nice to meet you. Πες μου τα στα αγγλικά. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Μπράβο. Οκ. Κορίτσια. Ναι.
Ρουμάν.
Man.
Ρουμάνικα.
Ρωμάνικα, δεν ξέρω.
Ξέρω
Πες μου κάτι.
Τώρα το...
Πες μου hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Σημαίνει
Hello.
Hello today.
Hello today. Good morning.
Good morning. Είσαι Arnistir. Είναι στα αγγλικά. Αλλά...
Οκ. Λοιπόν, πάω να συνεχίσω γιατί ξέρεις τι κάνω δουλειά.
Πού?
Work. Εδώ είναι work.
Στην εκκλησία.
Όχι. Video. This is my job.
Είσαι καμπιδιάς.
Yes.
Μετά να έχουμε μεγάλη και να δουν τους παππές και τις μαμές και τα μωρά τα μικρά.
Maybe. Ίσως. Λοιπόν. Bye bye. Goodbye. Adios. Okay. Bye bye.
Χαρήκαμε που σας είδα.
Και εγώ χάρηκα. Γεια σας. I'll put a timestamp for people that don't want to see that exchange. Oh boy. All right. So I had to cut that exchange a little bit short because otherwise this video is going to get long. So let's go right here in the shade. We'll stay in the shade at this kind of an abandoned building. I'll try to speed up the news. So I was talking about the storm shadows. By the way, there was also a cyber attack in Crimea as well. So what I was saying is that when I was in Greece, I said there's going to be an uptick in all kinds of attacks towards Russia. In my opinion, it's about sending a message to Russia in much the same way that the Five Eyes are sending a message to India, right? I think they're sending a message to Russia: accept the freeze, accept negotiations. We're going to approach you with negotiations, accept those negotiations, or else this is not going to stop. That's my thinking of it. Of course, you could have the other side of things, which could be the old school neocons, the Newlands and the Kagans, who could be attacking Sevastopol and eventually going after Moscow and putting together these cyber attacks because they want to escalate and they want to bait Russia into taking action that moves them off course. So this could also just be straight up escalation as well. So that could be coming from the old school neocons. Anyway, Elensky in DC. We have this title from the New York Times. Elensky's visit reveals strategy divide between Ukraine and US, while the Ukrainian military remains focused on retaking territory in the east. American officials are pushing for a shift to the south. So the split in strategy. We've talked about this on the Duran a whole bunch. Elensky, when he was in DC speaking with Professor Biden and his team, he was talking up how Ukraine is going to capture Bakhmut. Actually, Elensky said that Ukraine is going to capture 2 cities, but he's like, I'm going to keep it a secret. And then he's like, one of the cities is going to be Bakhmut. The other city, he doesn't want to tell us. Elensky's keeping it quiet, but we all know what that city is. It's Tokmak, right? So Elensky, he was in DC and he's talking up how he has a secret super duper plan. Come December, he is going to take Bakhmut and take Tokmak. Of course, this is Elensky's way of making a sale, of getting the 24 billion, right? He can't come to DC and say, you know, we're not going anywhere. We're stuck. We're getting demolished. We're getting annihilated. This is a disaster. Give me 24 billion. That's not how you sell something. So he has to come to DC and he has to paint the picture that this is all part of the plan. Everything that's been going on over the last 3 months with the big super duper counteroffensive, it is all part of Elensky's grand plan. And come December, the Ukraine military, he told Professor Biden that the Ukraine military is going to take Bakhmut and Tokmak. But the problem is, according to the New York Times, that the Pentagon, they don't want Elensky to touch Bakhmut. They're like, Elensky, forget Bakhmut. Concentrate everything we've given you in the south. Forget Bakhmut, but Elensky can't let it go. Elensky's announcement of his intention to recapture Bakhmut from the Russians shows the gulf between Kiev and American military planners who believe Ukraine should focus more on the south. American officials say the fight in Bakhmut has become something of an obsession for Elensky and his military leaders. The best part about their plan is that Elensky's going to capture these cities while his military moves on foot. That's the best part of this plan, because they can't move tanks and vehicles in this direction because the Russians annihilate the tanks and the vehicles. They have to move on foot. So Elensky, he is telling the United States, the Pentagon, that he's going to accomplish all this by winter with the weather worsening. He's going to capture what he couldn't do in the summer by December with a military that's going to do this moving on foot. That's his sales pitch. Now give me 24 billion. Now give me 24 billion, please. I need to buy some homes. Elensky also announced, this was his announcement to the people of Ukraine. Elensky announced that Professor Biden is going to build factories, big amazing, glorious factories. Factories to make weapons. And this awesome manufacturing, the building of these awesome factories is going to happen not in the United States. It's going to happen in Ukraine. They're going to build factories in Ukraine to manufacture weapons. This is what Elensky announced to the people of Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine is going to become a military industrial complex, Silicon Valley of weapons manufacturing. Germany, Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, UK, America, United States, they're all going to build big, huge, massive factories producing drones and ammo, and missiles, and you name it. And it's all going to happen in Ukraine. And the Russians, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to let it happen. And if the Russians do decide to launch attacks on these awesome, huge factories, then they're just going to take these factories and move them to a different location, because when you manufacture weapons, it's very much like being a digital nomad. You can pretty much do it from anywhere, right? I mean, you can just pick up your stuff, pick up your laptop, and go to a different city. That's how making missiles and building tanks works. So that's the plan. Of course, it's all about laundering money. I don't need to tell you guys what this is all about. But yeah, that was Elensky's announcement. Biden is going to invest in manufacturing in Ukraine. A nice message to send to the American people, huh? And let's see, what else should I talk about before I get to my clown world? CNN, they have an article with the title, Ukrainian forces have broken through Verbove, top general says. So Ukrainian forces, they've broken through Verbove, Rabotyne. Again, this is like the 36th time that they've broken through. It seems like the Ukrainian forces, they go on foot, they break through, and then they go back, right? They break through, then they go back. They break through, then they go back. That's the impression that I'm getting. Anyway, this article is not so much about the amazing super duper counteroffensive and how Ukraine, after 3.5 months, is finally breaking through and making gains. I don't think that's what this article was intended for. This article, in my opinion, was intended to introduce the world to Zaluzhny number 2, Zaluzhny 2.0, and that is General Tarnowski. General Tarnowski. Because the article is an interview with the new, shiny, awesome general who is going to lead Ukraine to victory. He said that Ukraine is going to fight through the winter. This is what he told CNN. They're going to fight through the winter. They are going to take Tokmak. It just needs time. He said the Russians are learning. They're learning and they're adjusting. And so it's made the counteroffensive a little bit slower than intended, because the Russians, they're learning. Before, they didn't know anything, right? Before, the Russian military knew nothing. They didn't know how to fire a missile. They didn't know how to shoot a gun. They knew nothing. They didn't know anything. And now they're starting to learn. Look at that beautiful tree in the distance, everyone. Let's walk towards that tree. That is a beautiful tree. Wow. We got to walk towards that tree. So yeah, so the new general, Zaluzhny 2.0, he's like, yeah, the Russians are learning, and that's what's making the counteroffensive a bit slow, but we are going to take Tokmak. So this article is about introducing us to the new man in charge. And he said that they're going to take Tokmak by foot. He also said that they can't move vehicles, tanks in the direction of the south, and they're going to do it all by foot. 10, 15 soldiers, he says, they make incursions. They move into areas through the front lines. And he said that's how they're going to do it, step by step. That's how they're going to take Tokmak. So that was CNN. Zelensky's out. We'll see. We'll see. I think Zelensky's out. He's going to be blamed for the failure of the super duper counteroffensive. He was the mastermind behind Nord Stream. So Zelensky's gone. This is the new guy. Everyone needs a Zelensky in their life. That's what I said yesterday. Find yourself a Zelensky. Having a Zelensky can be very useful. You can blame Zelensky for everything. Okay, we made it to this amazing tree. So we have the row between Ukraine and Poland. That continues. Morawiecki, he said, the Prime Minister of Poland, he said in a statement that Ukraine should never insult Poles again. I think he was on like the campaign trail because Poland has an election, and he was speaking and he said Ukraine should never insult Poland ever again. Don't ever insult Poland again. And he's referencing Elensky's speech at the UN where Elensky insulted Poland. And then Poland fired back and Ukraine fired back. And so we have this mini row taking place, this mini dispute taking place between Poland and Ukraine. And of course, a lot of this is election related. But for Poland to come out with these statements, you know, they got permission. They got permission from the United States to make statements against Ukraine. So, yes, this benefits law and justice, Duda and Morawiecki in the elections. This definitely benefits them to talk bad about Ukraine, but it also helps the new age neocons so that they can put pressure on Elensky so that he can call up the Russians and approach them for some sort of freeze to the conflict. Of course, Elensky, he is heavily influenced by the old school neocons who are telling him, forget the freeze and keep on escalating. We got your back, Elensky. So Lukashenko, he even came out with a statement. The Belarusian president, he came out with a statement, and he said that that Poland is ready to drop Elensky. Interesting statement from Lukashenko. Now, Lukashenko, sometimes you can believe him, sometimes you can't. You know, he's a pretty colorful guy, and his statements sometimes can be out there. But that's what he said. He said that Poland is absolutely ready to drop Elensky. Maybe he knows something. Maybe he doesn't know anything. Maybe he's trying to stir up tensions. Possibly. Who knows? What else before I get to my clown world here? Let's see. So how is diplomacy done? We're seeing how the coalition for Ukraine is cracking. How about some real diplomacy? Well, on the sidelines of the UN, we had the Hungarian foreign minister, Mr. Szijjarto, and we had Lavrov meeting on the sidelines of the UN, and they decided to keep relations open. They are not going to buy into the cutting off of relations and the new EU Iron Curtain that is being put up to separate Europe from Russia. Szijjarto said that, and I quote, "Now I have again received confirmation of guarantees from Minister Lavrov that deliveries will continue according to the framework of the contracts in reference to Russia providing oil and gas to Hungary." That is how it's done. You look after your country's best interests. And in this case, Hungary is looking after its energy security. And that means that they have to have dialogue, relations, and trade with Russia. Doesn't matter what the EU says or wants. Sanctions, cut off Russia, put up an iron curtain. Hungary's like, we can't. We need Russia. We need their oil. We need their gas. We need this to keep our economy functioning. So that was the meeting between Lavrov and Szijjarto. Since we're on the subject of oil and gas, how about the news that Russia is temporarily banning the export of petrol and diesel to Europe or outside of Russia, but I think what they really mean is to the European Union. The on the record statement is that Russia is doing this because they are low on diesel and petrol, and so they need to stabilize the domestic market. But I don't buy that for a second. I think this is Russia's way of cutting off diesel fuel to the European Union right before winter. That's what I think Russia is doing here. And before I get to my clown world, how about this Associated Press title? Economists in Hawaii warn that residents who survived the wildfire that destroyed much of the Maui community of Lahaina might not be able to afford to live there after it is rebuilt unless officials alter the zoning laws and make other changes. Surprised anybody? I'm not. I'm not surprised. Seems like everything is going as they planned. Evil stuff. Evil stuff. So, evil stuff. How about Clown World? We talk about who Elensky would like as an ambassador for Ukraine. He would like Marina Abramovich to be an ambassador for Ukraine. And he would like her to help build schools. Now, if you don't know who this person is, I say Google her. See some of her artwork. She claims it's art. I consider it to be evil, but that's just my opinion. And you'll find out who this person is. The masks are coming off. All is being revealed. And I think we're starting to see all the vultures start entering, circling around Ukraine. And this artist is, I don't know. I'm not going to say it. Google her, see what she's about, and I think you'll understand what's going on in Ukraine. Now you understand why the globalists support Elensky so much. Now you understand what's happening from this Clown World story. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, and Rockfin. Look for us on Twitter as well, and go to the Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code Good Day. Take care.